Arc Raiders. We all know what this game is. Well, I'm assuming you do if you clicked on this video. If you don't, it is an extraction shooter made by Embark, the same people who made the finals. I have been playing a crap ton of this game recently, so I decided to make a 100 days games video. Of course, I am not the first one to do 100 games. The title belongs to the amazing Luke the Notable, but everybody's really made 100 something type video, so I wanted to try my own. So this is my experience with 100 games of Arc Raiders. Game 1 has me figuring out the controls, the map specifically, along with the turning wheel thing for emotes and gestures and such. Some raiders are fighting a snitch and I decide to help by firing my Pharaoh. I miss, of course, but you know, it was worth a shot. Running up to this building, I found myself a shredder. I did not know shredders could spawn outside of Stella Montes, so I of course shoot at it, and using this cargo gas canister thing, I start dancing around it and shooting at it. There is a raider up there though. I'm pretty sure his intrusive thoughts won, as he starts shooting at me. And with a shredder and a raider both shooting at me, it does not go well for me and I end up dead. My first ever match of Arc Raiders ends up with a death. Lovely. Game 2 starts out great with the queen right there, and I of course skedaddle as far as possible, picking up my first bits of loot, and even killing my first arc, which is rather fittingly a tick. I find myself a rather friendly raider who introduced himself. I'm not using a mic, so the crouching and spamming of the flashlight will do just fine. Breaching into my first bit of real good loot, I start getting shot by a turret. I'm not sure how the turret ended up dead, but some raider must have helped out by killing it. And I start running to extraction. My pockets are full of loot, and I find raiders already here, extracting. So, as one big happy family, we extract together. And it's nice to see that returning to Speranza's screen. Game 3 has me picking plants. I'm not sure what these can be used for, but I'm sure I'll figure it out later. And I find myself a field depot. I just loot what I can, and I end up finding myself my first blueprint, so that's nice, putting it into my safe pocket. And here, I find myself a firefly. Shooting at it, as I'm shooting at everything, but I am not aware of the deadly rivalry that will form between us. Battle with the flame-throwing drone is intense and I nearly end up dead. Escaping outside, the drone gets confused inside of the dome, so I use that to my advantage, shooting at it and even taking it out, and taking out his other drone friends. I end up getting shot by another raider though, but it seems he deemed me a waste of time, so he left, leaving me able to heal up. Licking my wounds, I just escape as I came so close to death so many times over there. I find myself inside and get absolutely stealth attacked by little bombs and end up dead. Game 4, I'm shooting at drones and I end up finding a leaper right there. That's not good. Rushing up these stairs, I do end up getting shot though. Put out of my misery by this hornet or wasp, I don't know what they're called. Game 5, I think I'm on the map Buried City, but I'm not quite sure. And there's these tall tower-like things, I don't know what they're called, but this one left right in front of my face. I'm not quite sure what you do. You don't shoot at it, that doesn't do anything. When I do find one though, there's this exploding bigger comet type guy, which does a lot of damage. And when I try to breach open this thing, drones fall from the sky, and I am unfortunately able to fully defend myself. The Stitcher does not do a lot of damage to these guys, and I'm getting shot and tased in every which direction. It is not going well for me at this point. And as you'd probably expect, I'm not very well prepared or skilled enough to deal with these tower type things. maybe later. Game 6, I'm looting through lockers. People have already been here through before, but there are goodies left for me to snag, so it's not a waste of time. And I even found myself a friendly raider, and I decide to offer him a gift, a band-aid. Hopefully he'll use it well. This gave me a lot of dopamine, by the way. Friendly interactions like this is why I kinda really like this game. Next, I find myself shooting at some Ark, and unfortunately, through personal reasons, I have to leave this game, so this kinda doesn't really count. In Game 7, I'm going through these rocks and cliffs on a mission. I have to get myself to one of these field depots, get to the roof, and do some radar dish things to restore communication or whatever. I'm not really sure what Shani wants from me, but I do whatever she tells me to, and I get rewards for it, so I'm not complaining. Though, at a nearby building, I start cracking open some crates to get some shiny loot. And I find another raider friend being attacked, and I do my best to help him out, using the flashlight trick to show my friendliness. And with my new companion, we start shooting at the Ark and are able to defeat them with the power of TM work. And of course, flashlights symbol friendliness. With my pockets full of loot, a mission complete, I end up going to extraction with a job well done. Game 8, I find one of these Ark courier things crashed, and these things can hold some pretty valuable loot if you decide to crack them open. Like I found my first pink item, vaporizer lens thing. I decide to leave as soon as possible, but I find a firefly on my way. This guy, upset for the loss of his brother earlier, ends up cooking me alive, and despite my best efforts, I'm unable to survive. And another Ark shows up to help out, so this is just overall horrible for me. Trying to crawl to extraction, I end up succumbing to my wounds. Game 9, I'm doing more silly quests, like nailing this roof down. I'm not sure why these people can't come up and do this themselves, but whatever. And I even fix a raider hatch for Shani. I find myself a friendly raider who cracked open one of these tower things, and I really am in desperate need of Ark alloy. I need like 50 of them, so I'm glad this guy lets me take some. This guy's actually pretty nice. Despite me taking some of his loot, he didn't mind. And I go to extraction. On Blue Gate, the extraction is this air shaft type thing, and I like the variety. I do try to help some raiders shoot this bastion, but I don't think I'm helping very much. Ignoring that, I just leave and return to Speranza safely. Now, Game 10 is a doozy, probably my most wild match yet. I'll just let the events play out as they do. I need to do a field depot thing where I take a field supply thing and put it in, but there's currently a matriarch, the strongest enemy in the game, guarding it for some reason, and things just hit the fan quickly. There's explodey boys, there's leapers, there's gas. I have no idea what's happening. I have only my Pharaoh to defend myself, and I decide to take pot shots at this leaper. I can't really help much with the matriarch, so I might as well do my part in taking this leaper out. This is the first real medium Ark that I'm able to deal with, so I end up putting a lot of effort in this thing. I have like 40 shots to my name. I'm not quite sure where to shoot leapers. I'm just assuming in the middle is the weak point, but who knows. There's flashbangs going off. There's even a bastion on the goddamn roof. I'm not sure how the fuck he got there. There's a tick on my face. I try to kick it off. Things are just happening and I am just no idea what to do. Leaper is leaping at me. I'm ducking and weaving in this electrical plant. I am loading shots into this guy, just praying for him to eventually kneel over dead. He is on fire. He is on his last leg, and mostly with the work of me, I end up taking the leaper out. Of course other raiders scramble to try to loot him as possible, but I get my fair share. And flashbangs, I'm not sure where they're coming from. Things are going crazy, I'm trying to heal. There's a tick on my face again. I'm just like, come here, boy fucker. Come here. Yeah. I find a fallen comrade who died heroically in battle, but it would be a shame if I were to let his loot go to waste. So of course I take what I can. There's even a goddamn bombardier in this house. So of course, I take my loot and start running. I am not willing to lose the shit I have, so I head to extraction with no ammo to my name and my pockets full of loot. I make it to extraction along with a bunch of other raiders who share the same sentiment as me. Game 11, I find one of those supply field depot crates, but being so far away from a depot, I can't really do much with it. And I find myself a Rocketeer. If you've played this game before, you can probably guess how this goes. Rocketeers are violent creatures that can easily two-shot me, so you know, it goes great. Though there is a friendly raider trying to take one out, so while I'm bleeding on the ground, I decide to at least watch the show. Game 12, I'm being shot at by a wasp, and using this bus as cover, I take it out with the Stitcher. The Stitcher is alright. It's a pretty basic SMG, but I don't mind it. It works well, and it's pretty good at taking out these smaller arcs. Though this Rocketeer is very upset that I killed its younger brother, and by me running away shows that I am not willing to deal with this thing, nor am I equipped. And he shows me why. Game 13, I'm on Buried City. This has the new arc enemy and the new event type stuff. This is a Vaporizer, another flying enemy like the Rocketeer, and my Stitcher will do absolutely nothing to it. The Vaporizer is well known for its giant fuck-off laser, similar to the Queen. And unfortunately, I do get vaporized. At least it says what it does on the box. I'm not quite sure what happened on game 14, I just have footage of me getting to extraction. So this is what I'm gonna show. While I try to make my way out of here, some arcs show up, and I'm able to take out one of them. But a firefly shows up, and you know how I think of fireflies at this point. I am burning alive. This thing is trying to get me. I am using extraction as cover. Another raider shows up to try to help me to deal with this thing. I just really don't like fireflies. I don't know what it is with them, but I just can't deal with them. Just something about them I can't figure out. I'm pretty sure you shoot at this fire tank thing on the bottom to deal the most damage, but I don't know, I feel like my guns don't do enough damage to deal with them properly. Regardless, with the help of my raider friend, we return safely. Game 15, I'm on a new map, Spaceport. Well, new to me, I just unlocked it. And there's fireflies on this map, so it gets a 0 out of 10. Although I am fighting inside this building instead, so using cover, I'm able to survive for a little longer, but with hornets shooting at me, I end up retreating, using this door as cover. And I use all my healing items. And I go back into battle, taking out what arcs are left. Though just outside, I am greeted by 2 comets, and these comets really put me back in the dirt. Game 16, I crack open this door and find myself a field supply depot crate, whatever they're called. Same situation again, there is no field depot nearby for me to use them. Though I do fight myself some arc with the Rattler. Like the Stitcher, I don't mind the Rattler, it's like the starter weapon, and it does good damage to the arc, but it has a very small magazine and has a long reload, which isn't very pleasant to deal with. Taking one of the drones out, I do end up running out of ammo, which is not good when you want to kill things. Though that hornet just fucked off, so I'm able to loot my wasp corpse without worrying about too much. With no ammo and my belly full of loot, I just leave as quickly as possible. This is a pretty good run, nothing too crazy. Game 17, I'm cracking open one of these things when I'm spotted by a snitch. This snitch calls in support and I run for my life. Using this building as cover. I'm getting tased, I'm getting shot at. I'm rolling, ducking, and weaving like it's Dark Souls. And I get attacked by a tick, and I'm distracted dealing with this thing, and I end up just getting shot. Overall, this is a horrible tag team for the Ark. This is a very bad game. I'm on Spaceport again, game 18, where a bunch of raiders deal with the Matriarch. I run in there, looting all the Ark alloy I can, as I still need a lot of them, despite me helping none with the fight. I'm not really taking anything valuable though, I just need alloy. Going up this tower, I soon realized that it's already been looted, but there's little explodey boys at the top of it. So I retreat down the zip line, getting away for a second before going back up to shoot the one that's left. And that works pretty well. Going down the tower, I find my first fireball. They're pretty easy to kill. Wait for them to start spewing fire and shoot their squishy bits. And with my alloy, I return to Speranza safely. I don't want to talk about game 19. In fact, nothing happened game 19. No. Everything went swell. I got so much loot. Subscribe. Game 20 is a pretty good one. I find myself another blueprint, which is pretty nice. I don't find them often. I get into a building with a bunch of explodey boys and fireballs, and right now it is going very swell. Though in a desk, I find myself a new gun, a Beretta, which I'm like 50% sure is a real name for a gun, but whatever. I like this pistol. It doesn't do a lot of damage to Ark, but it fires fast. And at extraction, I find myself with a friendly raider shooting at some comets, and we both extract safely together. Game 21, I decide to test out that thing where you climb onto a ledge to avoid any fall damage, and it goes great, by the way. Though I do learn you can use bushes to hide from Ark, which is pretty useful. And I find one of these crashed tower type things. Breaching them open takes a little minute, but the loot inside is probably worth your time. It's not as great as what you get for fighting over it, but it's pretty nice. Though this game ends with me fighting a firefly, and you know how I feel about those. I did not win this one, by the way. Spoiler alert. I don't know what I'm doing wrong. Game 22, I'm back at a field depot. I still need to do that quest. Last time I tried, there was a matriarch blocking the way. I do find myself the box, and I head all the way over where I gotta be, and put it in, gathering my loot afterwards. At extraction, there's a leaper, which really complicates things. Wow, it does a lot of damage, and I am running for my life. I hide behind some crates, healing up, and thankfully there's another raider who takes the attention of the leaper. Thankfully, with the help of the raider, we extract together safely. Game 23, I'm on Stella Montis, my first time here, and it's going great right now. There's a shredder, if you couldn't quite tell, and I pull out my incendiary grenade to throw it at it, but I find myself a friendly raider. Wow, that thing is loud, and also does a shit ton of damage, and unfortunately, friendly raider gets absolutely turned into Swiss cheese. Note to self, knife does not win against flamethrower. Game 24, I'm bringing my most destructive Ark-killing loadout I can muster. I need to kill a lot of robots, but I'm not passing up any free loot. I'm not sure what happened to this snitch, I feel like he just rage quit. This is the match where I realize how much I love the anvil. This thing is awesome against Ark. It does hella damage to them, and it's pretty easy to land your shots. Oh, I love this thing. This thing just destroys these robots. With many robots murdered, I return to extraction with a job well done. Though cocky from my last game, game 25 does not go as well as I thought it would. I'm missing my shots. These guys are everywhere. It is not going well. I'm getting shot at. I'm getting tased. I am rolling for my life, but I am unable to survive. I'm back with the anvil in game 26, and yeah, I still like this thing a lot. Give a camera a little whack, and I start shooting out some arc, and I think a friendly raider ends up showing up to also deal with the trouble, so I don't really mind. Moving inside this building, it gets a little chaotic with drones flying. This is very unsafe. Moving to extraction, still shooting at some arc. And this wasp made a hell of a shot with that taser thing. Though I returned to Speranza safely. Game 27, I'm on Blue Gate in Reinforced Reception. I watched a YouTube short telling me about a bunch of good loot found in here, and I find this poor dead raider. Unfortunately, I mostly carry free kits, so I was unable to revive him, and I put him out of his misery. And oh, this guy had loot. Energy ammo, equalizer, some pink gun that I don't really care about. I come across a firefly, and despite myself, and despite having an electromagnetic cloak, I didn't use it for some reason, and while testing out these new weapons on a firefly, I end up getting killed. Yeah, I really don't like fireflies. And I really should have just used that electromagnetic cloak. That would have been the smart idea. Game 28, we're breaking open an arc courier. These can hold pretty valuable loot, but this one didn't have a vaporizer lens like the last time. There's a comet at extraction, and they still do a shit ton of damage. But regardless, we return to Speranza. Game 29 starts with me getting shot at by a rocketeer, so you can probably already guess how well it's gonna go. Not well at all. Game 30, I'm exploring a bus, still on Blue Gate, and I do find a lot of loot in this game. I find myself a little raider cache with some good supplies, open up one of these weird arc things, I don't know what these are called, and I even find myself a shotgun in a locker. Some idiot left here, so that's pretty good, and I return to Speranza safely with my loot. Game 31, I find myself a pretty pink item. This time it is actually a vaporizer lens, so I immediately just go to extraction. This time there isn't a firefly to beat my ass. And while at extraction, this guy must have been in a real hurry because he came down Batman style and almost broke his legs. Though, I call an extraction to get us both out of there safely.
Hey, don't shoot.
Game 32, I'm back in Reinforced Reception. I'm still on the mindset of collecting good loot. Maybe somebody died even. Though I am not the first ones to get here. Still, what loot there is pretty good, so I take it. Heading to extraction with my pockets full of blue loot, I find myself another dead raider with a Venator in his pocket, though some explodey boys come to ruin my party. Though, I like this Venator thing, it's much better than that little light pocket pistol, the Beretta. Not quite as fancy as an anvil, but it gets the job done. Speaking of a Beretta, I do find one, also an extended mag, which I didn't take because I didn't know. So I'm at extraction with all my new weapons, and with some buddies, we leave together. Game 34, not only did I switch on my outfit a little bit, but I'm also getting tased by wasps, so it's going great right now. There's a firefly, so you can probably guess what's gonna happen. I don't know if it's just me, but do other people also hate these things? And again, knife does not win against a flamethrower. Game 35, I'm gearing up for Stella Montes. Stella Montes kinda sucks and has really kicked my ass so far. So, I want to bring the big guns, which is 2 pistols, but you know, I got this Venator, so I might as well use it. Though, while leaving, I get shot by this guy. I'm not really used to PvP in this game, so I'm not very happy about it. Though his outfit did look pretty nice. Game 36, I'm just getting some minuscule loot. Climbing up this roof, I do some radar dish stuff to complete a task for a dude. And you cannot hide in bushes against rocketeers, they will find you. Game 37, I'm still doing little tasks, and even breaking open into some arc couriers for some shiny loot. At extraction, there is a comet. I don't really know how to kill these things, I guess my weapons just don't do enough damage. Regardless, we return to Speranza safely. Still doing the same quest, but I think this is the last of it. Completing this little button thing, I'm not sure what I'm doing here. But this mission is quite fun. I start breaking open to this probe, which I only really do with crash things, and a snitch decides to call in some buddies, as you'd expect it to do. Breaking it open and looking into some of the loot, it's alright so far. I kinda wish it would be better, but some wasps and hornets show up. So I have to deal with them with my Stitcher. Again, the Stitcher is an alright weapon, especially against these lighter arcs. And I'm using this very thin metal crate, like shed thing, to protect myself from bullets, which surprisingly works very, very well. And despite running out of ammo and using most of my healing items, I'm still feeling very courageous and brave, and try to get this guy with a grenade or even my melee weapon. For some reason this wasp does dive down and get close enough in melee range, so I do end up taking him out. And with no ammo to my name, I end up leaving with all the loot from that probe. On Stellamontes again, using these doors to get away from the shredders. I do spend quite a lot of time killing the shredder with my Pharaoh. And I try to shoot through this wall to help this guy with some shredders, but it doesn't really work because it's bulletproof. And I take some loot from these seemingly left corpses, but this guy didn't seem very pleased that I took some of his loot, so he got me. Game 40, we're dealing with some fireballs and some pops. I think these things are pops. I think they're called pops. I don't know. This is my first time on an electromagnetic storm, and there's a bastion, so despite opening this probe, I just leave as soon as possible, looting some wasp corpses as I go, and taking a nice zipline and enjoy the view of this horrible storm. Looting some more stuff, I do return to Speranza safely on this mission. Game 41, I got myself this new football player outfit, which I quite enjoy. And despite this new fashion, I'm unable to survive. Oh well. Game 42, I learn of feats for the first time. What these are little challenges, and extracting in certain places will give you 10 little reward token things. Game 43, I'm using this junk as some cover to shoot at this wasp with a Pharaoh. And not wanting to lose some free loot, I break open into this probe, and running away from a comment. This guy tries to help me, but he still explodes, but this guy was nice for not shooting at me. And just to make things worse, there's a Rocketeer at extraction, which really makes things complicated. He seems stuck, but I shoot at it, which kind of makes things bad. Ruins a lot of things for everybody. He's shooting rockets into this thing, we're taking cover, trying not to die, but we do end up making it out alive. On Stellamontes again, which I've been shot way more on this map than any other, but this time it was a Firefly, unfortunately. As you'd expect. On Stellamontes again, those little challenges need me to extract here, so I don't really pick up any loot, I just try to get my ass out of there as soon as possible so I can collect my rewards. This time nobody shoots me, so that's great. Game 46, I'm getting tased by this hornet, and I need to extract from damn battlegrounds, that's why I'm here. So, trying to get myself into cover, I start shooting at these arc that show up. And another friendly raider comes along, and he lets me take the loot for the effort that we both put into, so this guy's pretty sweet.
Nice. It's all yours.
Make sure to say thank you. There's a arc corpse over this gap, and I didn't realize there was a gap here until I fell in and broke both my ankles. And trying to leave, there was a turret. I could have just shot at the turret, but I was, for some reason, really lazy this match, and I ended up paying the price for it. Greed got me nowhere, so take this life lesson with what you will. On damn battlegrounds again to try to extract, I can't help myself but shoot at some arc. And I do end up taking it down. And this time there's a snitch. I don't actually kill a lot of snitches, so this is a pretty good reward. Though that snitch did bring in a bunch more arc, and trying to extract, I do end up getting shot and die, but once you're down, the arc will stop attacking you, so leaving is actually pretty easy once you're dead. And game 49, I finally have enough of those blue tokens to get myself the outfit I'm really looking for. I love it very much. With my fancy new fashion, I destroy arc left and right with my kettle. Even the turret didn't get me this time. And extraction couldn't have gone smoother. Feeling brave, I start shooting at some arc after a quick reload. This time a snitch, and I actually take it out pretty quickly. And this is where I learn of the dance emote, and I love this thing, I always do it now. Game 49, we're breaking open some cars, and this really feels like Generation Zero if you ever played that game. Which this game is kinda already like, and I kinda enjoy it more. Shani needs me to be a photographer, so I take a picture of a broken bridge, and she pays me for it. Despite my new fashion, I still can't deal with any of these comets. I just don't deal enough damage before they explode. And now there's a wasp at Extraction, which I'm getting shot at by a lot. And a Rocketeer, which, again, complicates things. Rushing down the air shaft as quickly as possible, I end up breaking my legs and also get shot. So I just crawl over to the terminal and leave safely. Game 50, halfway through this adventure. I am having a great time, by the way. And such an event did not include that much. I just find myself at Extraction along with a buddy and leave without a worry in the world, just getting jiggy with it. Game 51 starts with me opening one of these little things. And overall, this match was pretty chill. I'm just looting this building on Spaceport, and the loot is pretty alright. Dealing with some minor threats around here, like fireballs and hornets. Outside there's a snitch at Extraction, and the kettle does not have enough magazine size to kill these guys. So he spawns in some enemies, and not really wanting to deal with them, I just run around in circles until I'm able to extract. Game 52, I'm on Stella Montis, and right now it does not go very well. In this cargo hold area, there's a bunch of raiders and also Ark fighting around, and I decide to dabble in it. But hornets and stuff make it very difficult, and I nearly get one shot by a bunch of things hitting me at once. Crawling down, I of course know that I'm not going to be able to make it to Extraction, but I do find this hornet who's having a very tough time right now. I feel it. Sometimes life just be that way. 53, I'm on Stella Montis again. I still need to extract from here, I think. And I meet some buddies who are friendly. Going up this ladder, I'm just really exploring. I don't play on this map much because I have bad experiences here, if you were paying attention. And I do find myself a shredder in this open area with some sand, and another raider comes and helps by shooting at it with me. Out of ammo, this fellow raider does do the rest amount of damage, and I get to keep the loot.
Thanks.
At Extraction, people are already leaving, which is a shame for me, and I thought that extractions can only be called in once, but no, you can just call them in as many times as you need in a row, as long as the timer still remains on them. Game 54, I had bought myself a Renegade from Yuan Tuan, wherever the gun merchant is. And the Renegade, I like the Anvil more. The Anvil has a very good vibe, but the Renegade does hit quite hard, and probably has a faster time to kill than the Anvil. And yeah, the Anvil just has some style factor with the big iron on my hip. Dancing at Extraction, we do leave safely on Buried City. Game 55, we're on Dam Battlegrounds, and I'm looking for a supply call station. These are these little things that you can walk up to, interact with, and fire up a flare that brings in a supply drop of ammo, weapon, and healing supplies. These are pretty useful and scattered around the map sometimes, and the loot is pretty decent. If you're low on ammo and you're looking for simple basic guns, this will be very nice, even finding myself a vendor. Using some adrenaline stims, I do run back to Extraction. Of course, there has to be enemies there, but with this Renegade, I am able to deal with them. Game 56, I say goodbye to this Renegade, as that Rocketeer really doesn't like me. Along with his little wasp buddies that really make this difficult. A shame that Renegade was quite nice, but I like the Anvil more. My bleed out timer is not long enough to survive Extraction, so I end up dying. Game 57, I find myself a field crate. The field depots do tend to have pretty crap loot, but free loot is free loot, and it was right there. It did not make me look for this at all. For example, I just find myself a basic Pharaoh, but you know, a Pharaoh's a Pharaoh. It's always nice. Though there's a Firefly, which really doesn't help my situation. And as you know, I do not really survive these encounters with Fireflies, so I'll just let you watch me struggle here. Game 58. I am looking for more supply cache things, as now that I've discovered them, I really want more of them. Unfortunately, there are not any in the same spot I spawned in, so I just used this Pharaoh to take out this wasp. He didn't even land a single hit on me. And at extraction, there is another wasp harassing this poor player, so I help him out. Even taking out this snitch, too. With buddies, we extract safely. Game 59 starts with me taking out this silly little turret. I got myself a little key to unlock a room for some pretty good loot. The turrets that are meant to be up there aren't there, so this tells me that this place has already been looted. And yeah, it already has been. There's this guy here who was kind enough to let me loot with him, despite me not having the key. I do find myself a wolf pack, but since this wasn't my key that I opened and was his, I decided to give him the best tier loot here. And what loot I can scavenge isn't bad. Trying to get to extraction this way was not a very good way, as there's a bunch of arc out here, so I just go back inside and decide to go the other way instead. At extraction, something really weird happens. I completely miss it for whatever reason, but there's a comet right there, like the pops, but just bigger. I don't know how I didn't realize the guy was there until now, but he seemed friendly, so I guess we're going back to Speranza together. Game 60, I'm climbing down, and for some reason my character just decides not to climb the rope. Still, I don't take any fall damage, so I guess that worked. And this game, I am still looking after that room to open with this key. Unfortunately, there's still a shit ton of enemies, pops, shredders, and overall, I'm hoping this loot better be worth it as I take another pop to the face, and I'm just running, trying to get away from the shredder. I don't really have time or want to kill this guy. But he is hot on pursuit, so I just get into this room, close the door behind him, and I'm relatively safe. Going up, the turrets are gone, telling me people have already been here, which kinda sucks. And there's like a rubber duck landmine. Of course, I am stunned, as I was not expecting that, but whoever left that there is not here anymore. Exploring though, I do find myself a tick, which do break my shield unfortunately. And at extraction there is a comet, which I'm surprised I don't die by. I was very close to him, especially without a shield. And to make things worse, there is a leaper, which really isn't helping my situation, along with a bunch of other little drones. And this leaper makes sure to WWE slam me. Overall, this mission has not been going well. I have taken a lot of blunt force trauma. Breaking open into a crashed Ark Courier, Game 61. Celeste, the person who brings me these keys to go explore these areas, gave me one to unlock this room on Damn Battlegrounds. Not as quite as exciting as the other thing that I've been trying to open. But the loot here is quite tasty as I find myself a Bobcat. Now the Bobcat is kinda bad against Ark, so I'm not really gonna use this weapon. I do find myself an anvil though. There's a bunch of chaos outside, but nothing an anvil can't fix. There's a bunch of other people too, so we all extract together. Game 62, I'm still doing a quest for Celeste, and she needs me to go over to this rocket for whatever reason, which I do. And inside, I find some shiny loot. So I of course take it, and extract as soon as possible. Not before tasting a few bullets from this wasp. Again, still on a quest for Celeste, I run, that kinda rhymed. On game 63, I'm on Buried City, where there's a firefly chasing me. I shoot at it a little bit, but for some reason it just dips, not wanting to do with it, so I take this as a blessing and just keep running. taking the zipline over to this specific building. I just need to explore it to complete the quest, which I do. And for some reason, I expected there to be something to catch my fall, but there was not, and I take a bad one. Nearly dying. That would have been a real shame if I did die. Not that I really lose anything. Game 64 on Damn Battlegrounds. I just go right to extraction. Of course, I need to complete some feats to get some special little coins. Though, at the building right beside extraction, there is some nice loot in these lockers. These red lockers always have good stuff in them, so always loot them if you have the chance. A snitch does call in some extra enemies, so that really makes this extraction a little more eventful. And I do get tased and shot at quite a little bit, but I do just try to get out of there as soon as possible after recharging my shield. Game 65 is not one of my favorite matches. I still have another key from Celeste. She gave me a second one just in case I failed the first time, but I didn't, so I decided to take the extra loot. And when I'm looting here, the loot is not as good as it was before, which isn't very nice. And a raider does come along and decides that he wants some special loot for himself, even though it's kind of ass in this room. So he does get what he wants. Game 66, I do find myself a supply call station, and curious and not willing to miss out on that free loot, I fire the flare. Waiting for the drop, the supply drop ends up going on one of these huge buildings right here. So, upset at losing my loot, I go up there as quickly as possible. It's a maze, and it takes me a while, but I do end up going up there. And there's no way, that I could figure out at least, to get up onto the roof of this thing, which really sucks, because that's my loot gone. And I take out my frustrations on this wasp. Upset, I go to extraction, and at least I do find myself a friendly raider, which is much better than what happened on Game 65. Game 67. Don't you dare. We're on Damn Battlegrounds, and I found another call station, and you know, this one actually works. The idiot who brings these things down didn't put on a 100-foot tower. Loot in this one wasn't as great as the last one, but you know, I'll take some adrenaline shots any day. Taking out this turret real quick. At extraction, there's a wasp who is trying to show his might to me, and I take him out pretty easily, returning to Speranza safely. Game 68, I decide to be adventurous and going on an electromagnetic storm. On a free loadout, but I do find myself a blueprint, which is very nice. Leaving with that blueprint, not wanting to really lose it, and while getting jiggy with it, God really wanted to smite me down. He did not approve of my dance moves. Though, another raider does come up, and I decide to put on a show for him too. At extraction, we escape together. Game 69, nice. I'm on a naked loadout, where basically you just bring a normal loadout with a safe pocket, and just don't bring any weapons and stuff, so there's really low risk to this. And while looting a probe, God also wanted to strike me down again. But he wasn't going to stop me against this shiny stuff. And I do extract safely. Game 70, I'm still craving the electromagnetic storm. So while exploring, I have heard of a place that holds a bunch of blueprints. But while trying to get there, a Rocketeer really doesn't like me. And without a shield, the things can one-shot you. Of course, with the help of a Hornet. Game 71, I'm still desperate for that loot in that giant tower, still having that pink key. So I'm running in here, all the enemies are dead, which is not helping my motivations. And I'm not even going to show you, but it was already looted. Feeling a little defeated, I do run over and find this guy in need of some help. And I do have some defibrillators. I do not know how they work, and I really don't want to accidentally kill this guy. But I do figure it out and get him up safely. That felt nice. With the bond of my new buddies, we're at extraction, and there's a leaper coming along at the noise this thing makes. Running in, we're having a bit of a panic, and just trying to leave with our livelihood. A wasp even joining in the fray and shooting me while I'm dancing, making me think it was another raider, but it wasn't. Game 72 starts with this assassination of a wasp. I'm getting really good at killing these things, especially with an anvil. And there's even more of them at this spot in the map, which holds quite good loot. Especially in these red lockers. These red lockers always have good stuff in them. Again, loot them to your heart's content. I even find an anvil and a Beretta in this. My pocket's full of extra firearms. I decide to leave as quickly as possible. Game 73, there's a trial to get struck by lightning, which really would have been nice to know last time I was on these electromagnetic storms. You know, I've never been struck by lightning. I wonder really what it feels. Oh, that really hurt, especially without a shield. And the trials don't save your progress if you don't extract, so my pain was for nothing. Game 74 starts with looting an Arc probe and killing a bunch of Arc inside the swamp on Dam Battlegrounds. There's a trial to kill said enemies in the swamp, and I decide to take my shot at a Rocketeer. I had never killed these guys before. So it was pretty exciting overall. Usually these things are a huge threat to me, but with my anvil, I just take pot shots at it, taking cover in this dome type thing. I'm taking a couple shots here and there, and it starts smoking eventually. There's another raider also shooting at it, so of course its aggro is being switched between the two of us, which is kind of helping. And what really doesn't help is hornets inside my little structure, and also running out of ammo. At extraction, I call it in, but hear a sound in the distance of a machine crashing, so I have to go investigate. Beknownst to me, that Rocketeer was at low enough health to eventually go down over time, which is very, very exciting, and I do pick up the loot from it, grabbing some Rocketeer drivers and running off. Unfortunately for me, that extraction closed, running out of time. Though I do pick up some heavy ammo from that Rocketeer, and I start shooting at wasps who really don't want me to extract. Taking a bunch of health from that guy. Another one comes along, which really isn't helping me, as I want to get out of here with my special Rocketeer loot. Which I do that. The world is really just against me from extracting, as a hornet also shows up and really shows me the might of its taser. I do end up going down, but there's enough time in my bleed out timer and also extraction to crawl my way to safety. This match was very, very close, but very, very fruitful with a bunch of rewards for my efforts. Game 75 is a pretty nice and chill one. I grabbed myself a shotgun just for fun, and this thing isn't very good at dealing with Arc. More of a PvP weapon. But I do need to find myself some rusted tools, so I head over to a place that I looked up that can have them, and I do find some, which is very nice. Though with a bunch of different raiders, we decide to take on a Leaper. I don't really help that much, but I got balls, so I run up there with my shotgun and start just giving it the old 1-2. Of course, somebody throwing a bunch of grenades do most of the damage to it, but, you know, I have a pretty good time, and I did help a tiny bit, so, you know, I should at least get a little bit of the rewards. And with some effort, we do end up taking it out. Now, I don't think I really deserve a lot of this loot, as, again, I didn't really help.
I like you guys.
Yes, thank you. I was just in a terrible lobby. This is so nice.
Yeah, you're in a good one now.
That was a nice conversation, but going to extraction, I do end up crawling in there right at the last second, which felt very awesome. Game 76 has me shooting at some wasps with a kettle, and I get interrupted when looting a probe. Climbing atop this old Baron. Barons were machines from the first wave of Arc. There's nothing in here, but it's a mission to loot one of these things. I do find myself a little supply call thing, and this time I get myself a hairpin. I have never used this weapon before, but we'll test it out. Now I'm going to tell you what I'm looking for. Anesthetic. The robot doctor guy wants me to get some. And the hairpin is alright. It is kind of a pea shooter, and I'm missing a lot of my shots, which is kind of embarrassing. And we return to Speranza safely. Game 77, still looking for anesthetic for Lance. Instead of medical supplies, I do find myself a Rocketeer, along with the other friendly raider trying to take it out. It's going well. And I have only one way to leave, so I decide to take a leap of faith and break both my legs. But, you know, we just shrug those things off. And while down here, this guy explains that this other raider had unfortunately passed away, probably succumbing to his wounds, or this guy just straight up murdered him, I don't know. And while I'm looting this guy, as free loot is free loot, the person does call extraction, so I'm unable to see what goodies he has. Game 78, we're still going to the testing annex, as I still need an anesthetic. Ignoring how I'm whiffing these throws, I need to kill Ark with some grenades for the grenade guy, so I do that. And as Pop, angry for the deaths of his fellow comrades, tries to take me out, but unfortunately fails. Good thing for him though, as a Hornet makes its way in here. I of course have to play silly doors to avoid getting hit by him. And it takes a minute to try to kill this guy, as the kettle does not do a lot of damage against Ark armor. But eventually, I am able to take him out with a little persistence, even if I run out of ammo at the same time as he dies. Again, taking a leap of faith, at the same extraction, it does unfortunately close, but as information I learned before, you can recall the extractions. With some buddies, we leave. Game 79, I spawned way too far from the testing annex, so I just explore this area to get myself some loot. And what I'd recommend always is these red lockers. They always have good loot in them for some reason. I don't know what a tiger grenade does, but I try it out for a second. It makes a little wee sound, so I think it's pretty good. And unfortunately, there is another raider crawling on the ground. I'm assuming he probably got shot up by these hornets and wasps. And he's calling for help, pleading, but I have a freeloader and I do not have a defibrillator. Plus, I have a bunch of Ark that are trying to kill me, so I can't really do much about him. I try to apologize for my lack of medical supplies for him, but his begging is not spawning a defibrillator into my inventory, so unfortunately I cannot do anything about it. I am luckier than he is though, and I killed all the Ark, and I do get to loot his corpse, which had alright loot on it. Game 80 starts out with me near the testing annex, and dealing with some wasps that really want to get in my way. Nothing a Pharaoh can't fix. Unfortunately, the extraction is about to close, so I decide to just leave right away and not loot the testing annex. It's probably been looted already. Game 81, I brought myself an Arpeggio. I have never used it before, and I'm also bringing an actual loadout, because maybe the extra firepower will just give me some luck. And the Arpeggio isn't bad. It does take medium ammo, so it does hit quite hard, but again, unlike the Rattler, it's a burst fire, and it can dump ammo pretty quickly, but it works. And the Arpeggio must have given me some luck, as I did find my anesthetic that I needed, so I'm able to beeline for extraction. It is very convenient that the testing annex is right next to one. Game 82 starts with blowing up some pops with my own grenades, completing the grenade quest for that one guy. And I am doing a quest for Shawnee, of course, because she always has work for me to do. And I have to distract the thing, so I put it in my safe pocket. But I have a bunch of extra grenades, and there's a bit of a matriarch situation on this map, and I decide to just go Hail Mary and throw what I can. Unfortunately, I do end up getting flashbanged and die. It doesn't matter, because I got the thing in my safe pocket, so I complete the quest. Game 83 has me shooting at some Ark to help somebody, and completing a quest on Blue Gate. All I need to really is just scan this thing, and that's about it. I can leave safely now. Job well done. Still trying to do quests. I'm just really going through them right now. I need to go all the way across the map to get to this certain area. And I swear, I thought these probes spawned in enemies, but they don't, only when a snitch is nearby and sees you causing a ruckus. So you can just pop these things open and get some pretty free loot. At the place where the quest takes place, it unfortunately has a leaper, and I'm not well equipped enough to deal with a leaper right now, so I just break open this other probe. It's like when a cat really wants to go outside. Shut the fuck up, bro. Oh, I didn't mean it. I didn't mean it. I'm sorry. Regardless of that incident, we do leave safely with a bunch of other raiders. Game 85 has me looting some peasant loot from these kitchen cabinets, as the residential area is right near this thing I need to complete for a quest for the gun lady. And this time I do get to loot a Baron, which has alright loot, mostly just arc parts. Regardless, I return to Speranza safely. Game 86 on Spaceport, doing more steps for this quest. There is a Rocketeer, and it's being shot at by somebody with an equalizer, so I just decided to take my shot at it as well. Unfortunately, it really bullied me and almost killed me in one shot, which is not nice. It does go down though, with a little help from my part, and I do take some pieces from it. Unfortunately, I could not be really mean in this game, so I decided to split the loot and give this person one of the Rocketeer drivers, which I hope gives me good karma for later, even if I kinda didn't really deserve any of the pieces from the Rocketeer. Wounded and without a shield, I do return to Speranza though. Game 87, I wasn't recording until the last minute where I realized I wasn't. So here's the loot I grabbed from it. It can't be a 100 games video without at least one game not being recorded. Game 88 has me shooting at a comet. I'm surprised it didn't do more damage than what it did. I basically kissed the thing. To finish the quest for the gun lady, I have to loot 2 crates in a certain area, which I do, and find some complex gun parts, which is nice, and I get to return safely with my goodies. Game 89 is going very well. I'm on Buried City with the Close Scrutiny modifier, trying to get myself a Delabra blueprint. Not wanting to lose anything valuable, I only bring some smoke grenades and stuff, but I was nowhere near any assessors, so I just leave, just live another day. Game 90, I'm still on the Close Scrutiny modifier, and this poor guy is being shot at by a Vaporizer. Vaporizers only really spawn on these modifiers, and he does end up taking it out. Unfortunately, while trying to loot the assessor, I do get taken out myself. Game 91, third time's the charm, and this one goes a little better. Using some smoke grenades for cover, away from the arc, I am able to breach open into one of these things and get some pretty valuable loot. Unfortunately, no Delabra blueprint, which is really what I was hoping for, but it's kind of rare, so you're kind of really praying to RNGesus that you do get it. I was not one, but this is some good arc parts, and I do get some pink stuff. Though I did not bring any weapons, so I'm just really juking these pops and fireballs at extraction. Just trying to leave with what I have. Maybe I'll try again, but this is enough close scrutiny for me. And Game 92. Today, Riventides releases the new update for Arc Raiders, and I am quite excited to explore a new map. And there's a beach, so this is wonderful. I do a little questing here and there, just take pictures, and put out some cages for whatever reason. I didn't really read the quest, and I do find a fellow raider who is using the new Dockmaster metal detector to find himself some shiny loot. And one thing I'm noticing very quickly is that surveyors spawn on this map quite frequently, and there's a lot of them too. I think around 4, especially along this beach type area, which is pretty awesome. Unfortunately for me, I do not have the stuff to deal with a surveyor. That blaze grenade did not do much. Skipping ahead a little bit, I'm exploring this area, and I should really learn my lesson. This is 3 times now. A melee weapon does not win against a flamethrower. Well, kinda. I did kill it, but the pool of flames it left after did get me. My first time on Riventides does end on a death. Game 83, I had set my sights on those surveyors, as I need to do a quest for them, and this map has plenty of them. Though I do come across another raider, and I had brought my Bobcat with me. You remember that from a while ago. I decided to be nice and give it to him, to hopefully have some good karma for this surveyor fight. And besides, I don't really need a Bobcat. It doesn't do much against Arc. So I hope this guy enjoys. And this is my first time using a hole cracker. Ignoring the missed shots, it does do big damage to Arc. Especially these little surveyor guys, which are just giant balls of metal. Unfortunately for me, a Bastion does not want me touching his balls, and starts shooting at me to protect them. Unfortunately, I'm also missing as well, But, you know, I am trying. I did bring a lot of grenade ammo to try to counteract my lack of skill. And I do finish off the Surveyor with the Arpeggio, so it works out. I do get the Surveyor vaults I needed. There is another one, and he kind of just fights back against me. They weren't supposed to do that. But I do get a bunch of extra Surveyor vaults from pieces that are littered around the place. And I do get to extract safely with my loot. I'm just more thankful I get to keep my Hole Cracker, because, you know, this thing is pretty awesome at killing Ark. Game 94, I decide to bring my Renegade, exploring the giant hotel. That's kind of one of the highlights of this map, other than the shipping yard. There's a lot of balls in here, though. And I don't know how I feel about this death, other than that it felt really unfair. I feel like that pop should not have exploded that quickly. And it was very silent, too. This is like a creeper from Minecraft. Game 95, I have to kill some flying Ark that includes fireflies, which if you know my track record with these things, it does not normally go well. But if you keep your distance and start shooting at it from pretty far away, it doesn't really have much time to get close to you. Of course it does get close to you, but if you just run away from a range of its flamethrower and just shoot it from afar, it actually isn't that bad. Of course if you're in close space, these things will fuck you up, but maybe I've been playing against them wrong this whole time. Game 96, I'm exploring the shipping yard. I might as well have some little fun here. And there's a bunch of comments. And haha, balls can't climb. So I'm pretty safe up here. Well, a vaporizer doesn't really need to climb, so this kind of sucks. I do kind of just play a peekaboo with probably the scariest encounter ever. This guy is really trying to get me. Jesus, this thing is violent. I try to make a run for it, but unfortunately, the vaporizer and his buddies do get me, which I'm not sure what I expected. Game 97, I had brought my own Dockmaster metal detector thing, as I wanted to try out some beachcombing loot. Unfortunately for me, this was not the beachcombing event, so I got nothing, not a single beep. Which kind of sucked, as I didn't realize this for a while. So I just try to get out of there with my anvil, and also to keep my Dockmaster. But I do get to kill a firefly, which does kind of help the KD between these things. And I leave without a worry. Looting an Ark Courier, I do find myself a vaporizer lens thing, so that's pretty sweet. And I do try and comb for some loot, like an old man. Unfortunately, I still haven't learned my lesson, and it's not the beachcombing event. Though I do try my luck with the supply call station. More ammo and stuff would be nice, and I do find some good stuff like an Arpeggio. And I just try to get out of there with my life. Game 99, I still don't realize there needs to be a modifier for the beachcombing thing, which is kind of dumb that I haven't realized it. And I do explore this up high area, tower type thing, which does hold quite a lot of loot. It's one of the high tier loot areas of this map. There is a shredder and turret defending up here, which if you know how to take out these things, they're not that hard. Especially with how many I've taken out already, they're pretty easy to deal with. Just need cover. And inside of this tower type thing is this room full of red lockers. Absolutely glorious. And there's not even a key that is required to get into this room. Game 100. We have made it, and guess what? I looked it up, and you need the beachcombing event thing, which I do get. Unfortunately for me, Karma just really doesn't like me, and I keep digging up mines. And when I do dig up loot, it's mostly just medical supplies, which isn't bad, but I was just kind of hoping for like gun stuff. You know, mines also don't help either. Seriously, I really don't want these things. Another medical supplies? And, you know, I had enough of that. So I'm above this area again, taking out the shredder real quick. And I do loot this locker area again, and find the exact same type of loot, which is pretty nice. And wow, a turbine. I got little glimpses before, but this is my first time really seeing it. Unfortunately, I do not take one out this video. I do find myself a sentinel for the first time. And wow, they hurt! Unfortunately for me, there's only like 2 extractions on this map. So, while that one closed, I have to try to rush to the other one, but there's a bunch of enemies after me. Especially a firefly, so I'm not surviving this situation. Especially if I get tased and flamethrowered at the same time. Well, that kinda sucked. That was a horrible game 100. Bonus content time, woo! I hated how that ended, so I'm gonna try to kill a Bastion. I know you would have probably liked if I were to kill a Queen, but you know, I'm not skilled enough for that, so I just grabbed myself a pretty decent arc killing loadout to go hunt for a Bastion, to hopefully end this video on a good note. And it starts with killing a Comet. I need to kill them before they explode, which is pretty easy with the Hole Cracker. This thing is kinda goated. And I do find my prey, a big fat Bastion, which I do have to take out a Hornet real quick, which is kinda really interrupting my flow. And distracted trying to kill this thing, a Bastion somehow sneaks up on me. But I have a lot of fire, and some help from another raider, so with him, we are able to take out the Bastion together, which is pretty nice. I say thank you, he says you're welcome, and we're all happy, and I just get to looting, bruh. I just picked this thing clean of everything I could hold, which felt very satisfying, even if I'm a little fat and over encumbered. Jesus, bro, you did not need to hit that guy that hard. Anywho, we do extract safely with our valuable loot. So, that was Arc Raiders. What do I think of the game? I'd probably say an 8 out of 10. It's really upsetting being shot by rats, especially when you're not here for the PvP, but regardless, it is still very fun. The vibes of this game is very exciting, and I personally love the post-apocalyptic 80s retro vibe of this game. It is very, very well done, and the Arc are fun to deal with notable weak points and fun weapons to use. Arc Raiders is going through some difficult times right now, which I'll stay positive and just assume it will pass. And I hope you really enjoyed this video. This was my magnum opus, the longest video I've made yet, and I very much enjoyed it. I do plan for a Minecraft 100 days, which I'm still working on, but I kinda got distracted by a silly robot game, and I'm questioning whether to do 100 games of just Riventides on that one map. We'll see, and if people like this video a lot, I will certainly consider it. But, as always, I hope you enjoyed watching, and I hope you have a wonderful rest of your life.